Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to discuss the one consolidated question, consolidated statement of financial position. You can say this is a grand revision for the consolidated statement of financial position. In this question, I will cover from the basics and also cover all the intra-group transactions within the consolidated statement of financial position perspective. Okay, without wasting further time, let's start this question. So, this is okay. This is M Limited acquired 80% shares of H Limited on January 1st, 2015. Their statement of financial position at 31st December 2016 are as under. Please note the acquisition date is 1st Jan 2015 and the acquisition by the parent company in the subsidiary is 80%. Now we have property, plant and equipment of M and H Limited. After that, we have at the date of acquisition, the retained earning of H stood at rupees 1,60,000. So the acquisition date retained earning is 1,60,000. Now we have other adjustment. On Jan 1st, 2015, fair value of all assets and liabilities were equal to its carrying amount except the following. So we have studied in the basics of the consolidated statement of financial position lecture. Whenever there is a word fair value excess of its carrying amount, so it means we have to do the adjustment at the acquisition date of the subsidiary and at the reporting date net assets of the subsidiary. Now we have two assets, land and building. We all know land is not a depreciable item, so we will also write the 50,000 at the reporting date as well. But for the building, the acquisition date value is 30,000, but the value of the building is 3 years. Now you can see the reporting year is 31st December 2016, so it becomes 2 years. Why 2 years? Because the 1st Jan 2015 M Limited acquired H Limited and the reporting date is 31st December 2016, so it becomes 2 years. So now you have to depreciate the building by 3 years for the 2 years. 30,000 divided by 3, you will get the per year depreciation, which is 10,000. But you will need 2 years depreciation because you are at 1st Jan 2015, and in order to reach at the 31st December 2016, you will have to depreciate by 2 years. So 2 years depreciation is 20,000. Now, once you deducted the depreciation from this 30,000 value, you will get the 10,000, which is the remaining amount at the reporting date. Now, at the date of acquisition, H Limited had a customer list. This is IAS 38 intangible. H Limited had a customer list which it has developed over the years. It is not recognized as an intangible asset because IAS 38 places restrictions over the recognition of internally generated intangible assets. Yes, we all know internally generated intangible assets should not be recognized because their criteria. Now, this is not an internally generated for the M Limited for the group purpose. Why? Because the group, the parent company, is going to acquire the subsidiary company and all the internally generated assets of the subsidiary will become a purchased intangible asset. So now you have to make this adjustment as well. The directors of the company, however, are of the view that the said list has a fair value of 32,000. So the reporting date fair value is 32,000 and has an estimated useful life of 10 years. So again, the customer list life is 2 years. So you have to calculate the amortization for the 2 years in order to reach at the reporting date figure. So 32,000 divided by 10 multiply by 2, you will get the 2 years depreciation. So once you deduct the 2 years depreciation from this 32,000, you will get the reporting date figure. The directors wishes to book this asset as a separate asset on the consolidated statement of financial position as per IFRS 3 business combination. Now guys, we have intra-group transactions. Please be attentive. Let me zoom in. Now, during the year, intra-group transfers of non-current assets were as under. By M Limited means parent to subsidiary. M is the parent, H is the subsidiary. Equipment costing rupees 20,000 and a book value of rupees 1,20,000 was transferred at the start of the year to H Limited. We will compare the carrying amount with the fair value. We do not need to compare the cost because we already have the carrying amount at the acquisition date. So we should have to compare with fair value. Now, M Limited made a profit of rupees 60,000, but now you can see there is no disposal price. There is no disposal proceed. Why? The examiner just gives you the book value and the gross profit or gain, which is 60,000. So how to calculate the disposal proceed? Of course, 60,000 plus 120,000, you will get the disposal proceeds. This is how examiner can play with you in your exam. On the transaction, remaining useful life of equipment at the date of disposal was 3 years. So now guys, if you watch my consolidated lectures, then you have a better understanding whenever there is a P2S sales of asset. This is a intra-group transaction and any intra-group transaction will not be considered for the consolidation purpose. So this 60,000 will be deducted from the step 4. Remember the step 4 consolidated reserve, the group retained earning. This 60,000 will be deducted from the group retained earning, also from the group property, plant and equipment. Now, the group means the parent company has sold this asset to H company at 180,000. How 1,80,000? Because 60,000 is the profit and book value is 120. So 120 plus 60 is the 180, which is sales price or disposal proceed. But from the group of point of view, we still depreciate it over 1,20,000 because these transactions will not be considered by the group. But what do you think? Now the subsidiary company has acquired it at 1,80,000. So don't you think the subsidiary company will depreciate it over 1,80,000? So of course there is an excess depreciation, and whenever there is an excess depreciation by the subsidiary company, then that excess depreciation should be added at the subsidiary's net reporting date assets and the group property, plant and equipment balance. Remaining useful life of equipment at the date of disposal was 3 years. By H Limited, this is the subsidiary, means from subsidiary to parent. Plant with a book value of 1,50,000 was transferred at 1st July to M Limited. H Limited made a profit of 40,000. Again, there is no disposal proceeds, so you have to add both these figures. You will get the disposal proceeds of 1,90,000. On the transaction, remaining life of the plant was 2.5 years at the date of transfer. Now, in this case, the excess depreciation is charged by the parent company because subsidiary company has sold this asset to the parent company. So here the excess depreciation is charged by the parent company. So in this case, the treatment of the excess depreciation is still same, but there is a little change. Now in the P company means if P company, parent company charge excess depreciation, then the excess depreciation will be added in the consolidated in the group retained earning and also in the group property, plant and equipment. Don't worry, when we will make the consolidated statement of financial position, we will learn all these things. Now guys, inventory. Inventory costing rupees 50,000 sold by M Limited to H Limited. This is a P2S inventory sale. At a markup, whenever there is a word markup, it means you have to apply the percentage on the cost. Whenever there is a margin, margin means apply on the sales price. However, 40% of the good are still unsold. This is the unrealized profit because out of 100, 40% of the goods are still unsold. So once you will get the profit, you will apply 40%, you will get the unrealized profit. 50% of the amount settled during the year. Okay, this is the receivable and payable. It means 50% of the amount settled during the year and still 50% is unsettled. So we have to reduce our receivable and payable. The entry will be receivable credit, payable debit. Why? Because it's a group transaction. Now guys, inventory worth 50,000, sales price sold by H Limited to M Limited. Now this is the S2P sales at a margin of 25%. Now in this case we have a margin. Whenever there is a margin, you have to apply it on the sales price. However, 50% of the goods are still unsold by M Limited. So now unrealized profit is 50%. In the previous case, it was 40%. All the amount pertaining to inventory were settled during the year, so there is nothing left. H Limited declared final dividend of 10% for the year ended 2016. So the year end is 31st December 2016, and we all know whenever there is a declaration of the final dividend, that dividend will be paid or received at the next year. So it means this final dividend will be received in the 2017. On 31st March, 15% on March 14 for 2015. Dividend is still outstanding. Once we will make the consolidated statement of financial position, we will also solve this adjustment as well. Now guys, let's move to the working. Okay. So guys, these are the workings. We all know we start with the net asset packet. So step number one, you have to make the net assets packet. How? At acquisition date, at reporting, and the net ordinary share capital. In this packet, all the subsidiaries balances will be entered. Ordinary share capital of the subsidiary at acquisition date and at reporting date are same because we have to eliminate it. Retained earning at the acquisition date was given in the question 160,000 and 5524 were also given. Let me show you. Look, this one. 552400 at the reporting date and 160,000 at the acquisition date. Now guys, if you remember, there were two fair value adjustment excess of the carrying amount. So land 50,000 at the reporting and at the acquisition are same. Why? Because land is a non-depreciable item. Now building 30,000 at the acquisition date, but at the reporting date it's 10,000 because if you remember I told you we have to depreciate it for 2 years. So 30,000 divided by 3, as the 3 is the useful life, multiply by 2 because you have to calculate the 2 years depreciation. So the reporting date balance is 10,000. If you calculate the difference is 20,000. This is the depreciation difference. I have also written here. Now customer list 32,000 at the acquisition date. The life is 10 years. So 32 divided by 10 multiply by 2. You will get the 2 years depreciation, amortization, which is 6400. The reporting date balance is 25600. Now guys, after that we have some S2P sales, means subsidiary to parent sales. Whenever there is a subsidiary to parent sales, that sales unrealized profit should be adjusted from the subsidiary net assets packet. Now S2P sales, we have two S2P sales. First one is for the inventory, the second one is for the property, plant and equipment. Let's solve for the PPE, property, plant and equipment. H sold asset to M, carrying amount 1,50,000 at 1st July 2016. Dates are very important. At 1st July 2016 and the year end is 31st December 2016. So we have to do the adjustment for 6 months. Now profit 40,000 given in the question. This is the URP. You have to deduct it from the reporting date packet. Disposal proceed is 1,90,000. Now M Limited means parent company record assets in the books at 1,90,000. But as per group accounting, this is intra-group sales. So it is incorrect, as it should be recorded at carrying amount, means it should be recorded at 150, but the parent company recorded at 190. So of course there is an excess depreciation. So I have explained it in very simple term how to calculate the excess depreciation. You do not need to calculate the depreciation on the carrying amount separately and on the disposal proceeds. What you have to do, wait a minute, as parent company charged depreciation on 1,90,000, which is incorrect, rather than it should be charged on 150 on the carrying amount. Therefore, there is an excess depreciation of 8,000. How 8,000 is the excess depreciation? Look, the profit is the 40,000. So you just have to divide the profit by useful life. The useful life is 2.5 years. 40,000 divided by 2.5 multiply by 6 divided by 12, because we have to calculate it for the 6 months as the date on which the P company, the M company, acquired it was on 1st July 2016 and the year end is 31st December 2016. That's why we have to calculate it for the 6 months, because it's a P&L item. Now, and it will be added in group retained earning. If you can see, this 8,000, this excess depreciation is not added in the subsidiary net assets packet. Why? Because this excess depreciation is charged by the parent company, and whenever any adjustment related to the parent company, it should be adjusted in the parent retained earning. Now guys, after that we have H2M sale, mean this is the inventory sales. Cost 37500. In the question, the cost were not given, so you have to calculate it. How to calculate it? You have given with the sales price and the margin. Margin was 25%. I have explained, whenever there is a word margin, you have to, the margin was 25%, so it means you have to multiply it with the sales price. Sales price is 50,000, but the margin was 25%, so it means you have to reduce your 25 by 1. 1 minus 25, keep it very simple. Remember this step, whenever there is a word margin, just deduct it from the 1. 1 minus 0.5, you will get the 0.75. So 0.75 multiplied by the 50,000 is the selling price. You will get your cost, which is 37500. This is the simple and easy formula for the margin. Now you have a profit 12500. This is not the unrealized profit, because in the equation it's given that 50% are unsold. So 50% of the profit you will get 6250. 6250 is your unrealized profit. So you have entered unrealized profit in the net assets reporting date packet of the H company. Now there is P2S sales of asset. This is the S2P sales. Now we are going to solve the P2S sales. Okay guys, carrying amount 1,20,000, but in this case the acquisition date is 1st Jan 2060. Now profit is 60,000. Disposal proceed, you will calculate 120 plus 60, you will get the 180, which is the disposal proceed. Now again, Hamza record assets in the books at 1,80,000, but as per group accounting, this is an intra-group sale, so it is incorrect, as it should be recorded at carrying amount, means at 120. So Hamza charged depreciation on 180, means disposal proceed, rather than 120 on the carrying amount. Therefore, there is an excess depreciation of 20,000. Again, just divide the profit with the useful life. Now there is no 6 divided by 12, because it's a complete year. So 20 is the excess depreciation, and it will be added in Hamza reporting net asset. Hamza is the subsidiary, Hamza Limited is the subsidiary. So look, you can see the 20,000 is added at the H company reporting date net assets packet. So now guys, we are done with the reporting and the acquisition date assets packet. So you just have to calculate all the acquisition date packet assets and at the reporting date. So the acquisition date we have 397,000, and at reporting we had 736,750. Once you compare it, it will give you the post profit of subsidiary company. This post profit will be allocated between parent company and the NCI. The parent company share is 80%, so 80% of 339,750 will be included in the group retained earning packet. Now 20% of the NCI will be included in the NCI value. Now guys, Then we calculate the goodwill. Cost of investment given in the question 435,000. Let me show you. Look, this one is given 435,000. Now 435,000 we have entered. This is the proportionate method. So we have to use the proportionate. How? The fair value net assets of subsidiary at the acquisition date is 397. So 397 multiplied by 80%, as 80% is the subsidiary share. You have to deduct it. You will get the goodwill, which is 117400. Now calculation of the NCI. S company net assets. S company net assets at acquisition date is 397. You will have to multiply it by the NCI share, which is 20%. So 397 multiplied by 20%, you will get the 79400, in which you have to include the post profit of Hamza. This is the post profit. Again, double 39750 multiply by 2. Multiply by 20%, you will get the 67950. The total value of the NCI is 147350. Now guys, the last and the fourth step, group retained earning. Parent retained earning given in the question, let me show you 627500. Look this one. Now 627500 post profit of subsidiary company. This is the post profit 339750 multiply by 80%. You will get the 271800. Excess depreciation 8000. Look this one, because this depreciation is charged by the parent company in its book. So 8000 you will add. Unrealized profit on inventory, which is 5000, we have calculated here. Okay. Now unrealized profit on assets, which is 60,000, which we have calculated here, this 60,000. So once you add or less, you will get the group retained earning, which is 842300. Now the final and the last step is to prepare the consolidated statement of financial position. You just have to add or delete. PPE we have 43500. How 43500? 243000 is the parent company PPE balance given in the question. 222500 is the subsidiary company assets value given in the question. 50,000 is the adjustment. 10,000 is the adjustment. 8,000 is the excess depreciation. 20,000 is the excess depreciation. These two are the fair value adjustment. The land and the building reporting date packet. Okay guys, because SOFP is as add balance, not during the year, is as add balance, so you have to take the reporting date figures. 8000 is the excess depreciation, 20,000 is the excess depreciation, 60,000 is the URP on sale of asset by S2P, and 40,000 is the sale of assets URP on P2S. Now after that we have intangible customer list at the reporting date 25600. Goodwill we have calculated 117400. After that we have the investment, which is the subsidiary investment. Let me show you. Do not write the parent investment, because this investment we have incorporated in the goodwill calculation. There is further investment of subsidiary, so this investment just included in the SOFP. After that, we had dividend receivable, but the dividend receivable balance is nil. Why nil? Let me show you. Look, the dividend receivable at the parent company SOFP is 15,000. What figure? 15,000. So there is a 15,000 receivable. If you read the last line, last adjustment, it's mentioned H Limited declared final dividend of 10% for the year ended 2016. On 13 March 2017, 15% on March 2016 for 2015. So this dividend will be declared, will be received at the next year, but this dividend declared in the 15, so now in the 16 it can be received. So in the parent company figures, already 15,000 receivable is there. So for that we have to calculate the dividend value, then we can incorporate the 15,000 receivable is correct or not. So 125,000 is the S company ordinary share capital, 15% is the dividend which subsidiary company issued, and 80% is the P company shareholding. So once you multiply all these three, you will get the 15,000. So 15,000 minus 15,000 is the nil balance because this is the intra-group transaction. And whenever any dividend is received by the parent company from the subsidiary and from the subsidiary to the parent, then you have to make the adjustment dividend payable debit, dividend receivable credit, because you have to deduct the impact from the receivables and from the payables as well. Now after that we have inventory 218,750,125,000 are the figures given in the question. Minus 5,000 and minus 6,250 is your URP on the inventory. Receivables 19,150. 35,000 given in the equation of the parent company, 15400 given in the equation of the subsidiary company. Now, if you remember, 62500 is the selling price. Let me show you where it is written. Yeah. Look, this is the sales price in case of parent to S sales. Let me show you this adjustment from here as well. Okay. Now read. Inventory costing 50,000 sold by M Limited means parent to H subsidiary at a markup of 25%. So once you apply the markup on the 50,000, you will get the sales price, which is 62500. There is an important line. However, 40% of the good are still unsold. So 40% is your URP by H Limited. 50% of the amount settled during the year. So it means 50% is still outstanding, and this is the group transaction. So transactions between the group members are not considered, so that's why you have to debit the payable and credit the receivable. That's why this receivable or this payable balance is deducted from here. Now we have a cash 287,750 given in the question. So the total of the asset size is 1354650. Now share capital, this is the parent company share capital because the subsidiary share capital has been eliminated in the net assets column of the subsidiary. Now group retained earning we have calculated. After that we have NCI, which we have also calculated. So now we have dividend payable. It's 3750. As 18750 is the amount given in the question, out of which 15,000 is the dividend which relates to the parent because it was given to the parent by the subsidiary company. So this 3750 is the other members, mean NCI dividend. It is not the dividend of the parent because the parent subsidiary intragroup transactions should be eliminated, so we have eliminated, which is 15,000. Now other liabilities is 61250. How 61250? 37,000 given in the question, 55,500 is also given. Now again you have to remove the intragroup receivable payable balance, which is 62500 multiplied by 0.5%. You have also deducted from the receivable, so you will get 61250. Once you add all these balances, you will get 1354 650. You can check your net side and liability sides are equal, so the net is 0. I hope guys I have explained in this question each and every intra-group transaction. So if any student still faces issues in the intra-group transactions, then you guys can contact me personally. Okay, I try my best to cover all the intragroup transactions, which mostly students request me to make a one particular question in which try to link all the intragroup transactions. So that's it for you students. Still, if you are faces any issues, please do contact me. Now guys, let me summarize this question once again. In this question, we start with the fair value adjustment of the land and building. Then we have customer list. Whenever parent company is going to acquire the subsidiary company, and all the subsidiary companies internally generated intangible assets will be recorded in the group account because now it is the purchase intangible assets. After that, we have calculate the unrealized profit on the sales of assets by P2S and S2P. Whenever parent company is going to sell the property, plant and equipment to the subsidiary company always charge excess depreciation. Why? Because subsidiary company charge depreciation on the disposal proceeds, but according to the consolidated, according to the group, the depreciation should be charged on the carrying amount. So how to calculate the excess depreciation? You do not need to charge the depreciation separately on the carrying amount and on the disposal proceeds. Just charge the depreciation on the profit, then you will get the excess depreciation. And the excess depreciation, in case charged by the subsidiary, it will be added at the subsidiary date, reporting date, net assets packet, and at the group property, plant and equipment. Whenever I talk about the group property, plant and equipment, it means the consolidated statement of financial position. Now, if subsidiary company is sales a property, plant and equipment to the parent company, now in this case the excess depreciation is charged by the parent company. So again, you have to calculate the excess depreciation. How? Just divide the unrealized profit with the useful life, you will get the depreciation. You have to be skeptical about the acquisition date, because if the reporting date is 31st December and you are acquiring at 1st July 2016 and your reporting date period is 31st December 2016, so you have to calculate it for the 6 months. After that, we solve two unrealized profit inventory adjustment, S2P and P2S, in which we have also solved one adjustment of the receivable payable, as 50% of the amounts were settled during the year, so 50% is outstanding. As per the group, this is the intra-group transaction, so the entry is payable debit, receivable credit. Now, after that, we solve the dividend entry. Dividend, if there is a final dividend, that dividend will be declared or will be received at the next year. In this case, there were two dividends. The first dividend, which relates to the 2015, and now we are in the 2016. So of course we can take this dividend. But there is a second dividend at 10%, which will receive in the 2017. So we can't record in the groups. The dividend which issued by the subsidiary in the 2015, now in the 2016 we have to calculate the dividend value is correct or not. So how to calculate the dividend value? Just took the share capital of the subsidiary company, which in this case was 125,000, and the dividend issued by the subsidiary is 15%. So 15% multiplied by the share capital multiplied by the P company, parent company shareholding, which in this case is 80,000. So once you calculate it, you will get the 15,000, and the receivable of the 15,000 is also included in the P company books. So you all know the intra-group transactions are not considered by the group. So that's why we have to eliminate the receivable of the 15,000. What's the entry? Dividend payable debit, dividend receivable debit. Whenever there is an intra-group transaction, you just have to eliminate it. So that's it, students. I am again repeating, if you have any queries or any issues, feel free to contact me. Best wishes and take care.